Hello and thank you for watching. My name is Sian and every month I film what I have read the month before, and today is no exception, so I am going to show you what I read in April. There are 3 books, which seems pretty standard. I think that's kind of me coming to accept that every month I'm going to read 3 books. If I do more, that's brilliant. If I don't, then that's fine. The first one I read is by Laura Barnett. It's called The Versions of Us. This book reminds me a bit of my grandma, in that when my grandma used to watch TV shows, she kind of got to an age where she was like, I just can't keep up with the TV shows anymore, they move too fast. This book is a really brilliant concept. It's based around that one moment and whether you say yes or no, or what happens in that moment that could change your future and how everything pans out for you. So it follows 2 main characters with 3 different versions of what could or could not happen, depending on what the person had said in the first place. So it gets a bit confusing because you can't remember what they've done in the past. You basically got to read it all in one go, and even then it's a bit confusing. It's a really good concept and it does work well. And I enjoyed reading it. I really enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed seeing the different versions, and I really agree with that whole concept of, like, you know, if one little thing had been different at the point that something big in your life happened, then your whole future would have been completely different and who you are would be completely different. And it was really interesting to see how the author made the characters change, but they were, you know, their stories were still kind of intertwined, even though they weren't necessarily going along the paths in the way that you would expect from the first meeting, if that makes any sense. I don't like to give away too much about what's actually happened, so I'm not kind of reviewing the books, I guess. I'm just telling you what I thought about it and what I enjoyed about it. So this was a very good book, slightly hard to follow, but a really easy read. There were just a few times when I had to, like, go back and go, oh yeah, that's what happened and that's why that didn't happen. The next book I read is by Freya, The Way Back Home, and I got this from a charity shop when I was suddenly taking my daughter to soft play and I hadn't intended to, and I thought, what can I do? I'm going to need something to do at soft play, and so I bought a book and I started reading it there. It's a really good book. It's kind of sets up a story about, like, an artist's commune and what had happened to a group of children, and you know something's happened from the very beginning. You know something's happened, you don't know what has happened, but it kind of alludes to it all the way through. And again, this was a really good book, and you can kind of tell what will happen or what you want to happen, but there are obviously some twists and turns along the way, and the thing that had happened wasn't as shocking as I'd thought it would be. Being cryptic about these books is quite hard. Anyway, it's set around a girl who moves back from America because she's split up with her partner and has trouble living with her mum again, meets some boys from her childhood who were a huge part of her childhood, and it's all about her kind of letting go of that part of her childhood and accepting the way that life is now, basically. Very good book, very easy to read and very enjoyable. The third and final book I read, and I'm so sorry if I pronounce this wrong, is by Jhumpa Lahiri, and it is called The Namesake. This is a fantastic book. Out of the 3 books I've read this month, this was the one I enjoyed the most. I guess for, like, they all have different reasons why I enjoy them. This one I enjoyed just because of the way it tells the story. This book is about a Bengali family who are living in America, and they're one of the only Bengali families in the area that they live in. And it follows their son's quest to kind of find his true identity, and he's trying to shake off a name that his parents have given him, which in their culture they shouldn't have given him because the grandparents should have named the child, but the name goes missing in the post, and then they never find out what the name should have been for their son, which sounds really complicated, but it wasn't when I read it. And so this boy is trying to, you follow his sort of journey throughout his teenage years into adulthood, trying to work out who he is and finding out that his identity is just so much more than a name. And it's a really, really good book. It's told in such a beautiful fashion. It's so easy to read and you want to know what happens next because the way it's written is just gorgeous. If writing can be gorgeous, I'm going to say it can be, because I really, really enjoyed reading this book. And I didn't not enjoy reading the others, but this one just had something extra in the way that the author wrote it that just made you want to know what happened next. A certain like richness to the writing, I guess. So that's my third book. I've read one book already in May and you'll find out about that next month, along with hopefully some others that I'm going to read. I'm going to try and get back into some of the Jasper Fforde books, which I love Jasper Fforde books, and I hadn't realised that he'd done a young adult series, so I'm going to start reading those ones. So you might hear more about those next month. Anyway, I'm waffling now, so I'm going to go. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to, then please subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Alright, bye.